Hello, Salvatore is here with Horizon Images, and today we're going to be registering a 5-color job. This is the single color, just the black ink. We have white, traffic green, peacock blue, neon pink, and black. There's a certain order that you want your colors to go down. I'm going to go ahead and start by registering to this on our base. I usually like to put it about 3 fingers down, and the spray tack on the base will kind of keep it in place. And we'll start with our first color. These are the registration marks that we're kind of going to, and you'll see them on our screen as well. They're at the top of our screen and at the bottom of our screen, the artwork. I'm just gonna kind of register it on here. This is a pretty loose design. You know, I've designed this to where the registration doesn't have to be, it's not real tight. I mean, we want it to be as close as possible, of course, but it makes for an easy registration, easy printing, and that's something I ensure as I have the chance to design some of these artwork. So this is our white, and we'll go ahead and print this one first. Because it's a 5-color, we want to make it as easy as possible for us to print. So when you're printing, the ink that you put down will be wet, and we have to dry the ink so that it doesn't begin to migrate and kind of start to blur, and we want to keep a nice clean print. So we're going to try to keep these colors dry and clean and crisp. So what we'll do is, what I've done here is I've set up the white here, and our next color is going to be this traffic green. And our white is up here, and our traffic green is here. So we're going to be able to print our white and then print our green without them touching, keeping them far apart, and then we can flash it. Because we're going to have to go print, print, flash, print, print, flash. So it's only 3 prints. Whereas if it were a 5-color that was really close and really tight, we'd have to go print, flash, print, flash, print 5 times. And it's just going to slow the process down a lot. So doing it this way ensures that we can be consistent and quick. Okay. And I have somebody helping me ink here. We'll go ahead and put the white on there. And then we have to also tape over these registration marks. You could keep them, you could have them stay there if you wanted to, and print all of them with the registration marks there just to see if you're close. There's a lot of print shops that do that, but ultimately you're lighting up the artwork. So I want to I want to go ahead and tape them over. I don't need them, and I'll just look at the artwork and let the artwork tell me if I need to move it left or right. And this whole time I'm kind of looking at my registration marks here. If I can't see through them, if there's no white showing through my stencil, then we're good to go. I'm also checking the off contact, you know, how close my base is to my screen, and kind of feeling down on there. Feels good. And as you can see, it's a pretty quick process, being that this is a very loose design. I'm able to just kind of throw these screens on here and find my registration points and tighten it up pretty quickly without, you know, having to mess with it too much. So after we kind of get these all registered and get them all taped up and ready to go, we'll go ahead and start with some test prints and make sure that our colors are the colors that we want, if anything needs to be moved, if there's any kind of pinholes, because you will get pinholes in your artwork. You want it to be as clean as possible and as close to the proof that we sent out. It's the part of the quality assurance that we do here at the shop before we send our jobs out to our clients. Last color. This is the black. The black goes on. Usually I like to put the black on at the very end of a job, depending on the design, of course, but this will kind of bring it all together. It's going to lay on top of all the other colors. I've added a little what they call trapping to some of the inks, and that ink will start to spread on the shirt, depending on what kind of shirt it is. And just a tiny bit. It's just going to spread just a hair, and the black ink is going to lay on top of that and kind of like enclose the whole thing, kind of outlining everything. And everyone's press is a little bit different. This thing, whenever I start to tighten it, will start to move depending on the little micro adjustments that I do here and there. So you got to get kind of used to the press itself, the way everything kind of tightens. It's its own animal, I guess you could say. We'll tape over the registration marks. I like to try to catch the pinholes before we actually start to print. So if I can see light through some of the screen where there's not supposed to be any light coming through the screen, I'll go ahead and put some tape on it real quick and then do a print and then look for more pinholes if there is any of that. But these look really well coated. If you keep your darkroom clean and don't have a whole lot of moving air, you're gonna reduce your pinholes. Alright. Looks good. We can take our artwork off. And we can put our test sheet down. Put a little spray tech down. We won't be able to see the white on here, but I'm not too worried about it. You'll be able to see just enough for you to kind of tell if you're close or not. And I'm printing it just like the way we would be printing the final job. White. I'm gonna go ahead and put my traffic down, checking my off contact. This is a little high, so I'm gonna go ahead and lower it. And this is all preference too. I like my off contact to be as low as possible. If it's low, then I don't have to press really hard. I don't have to work real hard to print this. And I'm gonna make sure that I don't hit this white up here. I already put this white on here, and it's wet. And if I do hit the white, it's not a big deal, but you'll start to see it smudge and get a little dirty, and we don't want that to happen. And there we have both of our colors. You can't see the white. That's the traffic green. We won't get any information from these first couple prints until we get to the black ink. And black ink will let us know if we need to move anything around, because that's what's kind of outlining everything. So then we'll be printing the peacock blue and the neon pink next. Good? Okay, so now that we're printing the peacock blue, what some shops do is pull their ink. Here at our shop, we like to push the ink you're able to put your body behind it. You're able to stand straight up. If you're pulling, you're having to put a lot of force down here, using a lot of your forearms kind of pulling towards you, and it could get kind of tiring, kind of exhausting. And I think it's a little taxing on the back. So here we like to push the ink. So what we do here is a flood. I'm not pressing very hard. I could do this with one hand. I'm just kind of flooding the artwork. The ink isn't going through. If you're flooding if the ink is coming through the bottom, you're flooding too hard. This is a nice light flood. And then, you know, kind of over the top of your front foot here, so that you can kind of push forward. I'm just gonna kind of put it at a 45, maybe 55 degree angle. And I'm just gonna kind of let my body push the ink through. You see how my arms aren't moving very much, kind of nice and smooth. Some of these inks are a little easier to print. Peacock is easier. This neon pink though, it's a very sticky, very thick kind of ink, so we have to put a little bit more force on it. But because we push, it's a little easier. I do a couple passes because it hasn't been printed yet. The screen needs to kind of be activated pretty much. You have to kind of get the ink through there and get it into the mesh, into your silk. And the more times you print, the more detail starts to come through on it. So I'll do a couple passes here at the very beginning. And see, I was able to print that blue and that pink without them touching. Everything's dry, and it's gonna stay nice and crisp and clean. So this design has a bit of a halftone in it. Those little tiny dots that you see, they're really there to just kind of add a little bit of gradient to the design, a little bit of, make it a little dynamic, give it some shade and stuff without having to add a whole nother color. And those little bitty tiny dots give you some flexibility, but the only issue is that they'll start to fill in, and that's what they call dot gain. And then you'll it'll start to meld together and become kind of muddy, and that's the thing we want to try to avoid. So in your artwork, as you prepare something, you have to make sure that these dots aren't too small or too close, or you won't be getting any information out. All right, here we go. This is the last color that's going to kind of, like I said, outline everything, kind of let us know if we need to move any of the colors around. I'm doing an easy flood here. I'm looking for pinholes. I'm looking for registration. It looks pretty good to me. Let's check to see if it's at 3 fingers down. That's where we want it. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and, that's our test print. I think we can go ahead and usually, if there is a problem with the registration, this is where we'll kind of take care of it and see if we can kind of get a little bit closer by moving the micro adjustments and kind of up and down, left and right. And so now we'll just go ahead and do our first print. So here in the shop, we do a lot of things to try to make ourselves as efficient as possible. So, you know, along with printing 2 colors, then flashing, then printing 2 more colors, then flashing, cutting down on our flash time, we'll also print with another person. And so I'll do the first 2 colors. So my job is to register the shirt, print my first 2 colors, put on another shirt, print the next ones, go on, and by the time it gets flashed and dried, we have somebody else printing the second 2 colors. And then I can do the last color and pull it off, or however you need to set that up so that we can be as efficient and as quick as possible, because time is money. Now, the type of shirt that you're printing on will also depend on how much ink you're putting down, how many times you're going to hit something. If I was printing this on a darker shirt, I might have to hit that white a lot more. But being that it's a lighter shirt, it's a white ink, it will lay down nice and smooth and really clean. We'll go ahead and keep going on this. You have to keep in mind that we're going to be flashing these, so there's going to be a heat source over here on top of the shirt as we're going along, and as they're rotating we have to make sure that we're keeping in time with this. So I need to be quick as possible with putting the shirts on the base, making sure it's nice and straight, and then printing too. If I'm just like, you know, doing something else, if I forget that I have a shirt underneath the base, underneath my heat lamp, I'm gonna burn the shirt. So we have to be efficient, and we have to make sure that we're making all the use of our time. And so you notice that I flood and print twice. That first print, I feel like there's a little ink left in my screen, and I want to be able to push that all the way through. And you want to be able to see through the screen. You'll be able to tell if you've got all the ink out if the screen is clear whenever you're printing. If you want to get a little closer, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. The green on here is a little bit thicker, so I'm gonna go ahead and flood this, and then I'm gonna print it. And if I look at the shirt, or if I look at my stencil, you can see some green here and here, just kind of, you know, it's not much. And if we look at it, it looks a little mottled, a little fuzzy. If I hit it that one last time like I have been doing, you see it's a lot smoother of a print, a lot cleaner. So now we'll go ahead and put the blue and the neon pink, making sure that we only flood and print where the artwork is. Now, I would like to print this right now with the black ink already after we've gotten the blue and the pink on, but to ensure that the colors stay as vibrant as possible and as clear as possible, then we'll go ahead and flash it one more time. So there's a lot of little things, a lot of variables that come into play as you're printing a multicolor shirt. And for doing this for so long, we already kind of know what's going to happen. These our heat source is going to heat up our shirts as they dry, but then our bases start to get hot. Then that makes our spray tack not work as well. So we have to make sure that we're continually putting spray tack down, but also not leaving it under the heat lamp too long so that our bases don't get too hot, making sure that we are flashing this just the right amount of time, because you can end up what we call scorching the shirt, and it can end up burning the shirt. Did I get this off? I guess you can go ahead and print the black. And we want to look at it again because you may have not seen a pinhole in it earlier, but as there's dust that kind of collects in the screen and you start to print, it could blast out one of those little pieces of dust, and then now you have a pinhole that you didn't have earlier. We'll pull it from the front here. I like to pop the shirt off of there so that it makes it easier for us to slide off. There we go. We make sure that we have our speed of our belt at the right speed. If you run this through too slow or too fast, it's either not going to cure or it's going to burn. So we have it set to just the right speed. So it's underneath this heat source and it's curing the shirt, and it ensures the longevity of the shirt, the design. As long as the shirt is intact, then the design should stay on there forever. Now would be the time to put on some music, because it's going to be